Honorable Bryon Wilfert. Bryon, it's a pleasure having you in the program.
Good to see you, and good to be back. And I want to congratulate you at the very beginning for tremendous evolution of ATN and what you've been doing over the years. And it's amazing. 23 channels now. You started out in 1997 with one, where you now are broadcasting right around the world, and I think a great success story for Canadians.
Thank you. Thanks, Bryon. It's a pleasure having you back on the show because, I've had you more than once on television here during the process of our evolution itself. Bryon, this is your fourth term, I think, in terms of your election, because you have won, overwhelmingly, landslide victories for you. So you're an extremely popular man, obviously, from your riding. You've also served on various standing committees and ad hoc committees. You have chaired several committees, including prestigious positions. Right now, you're involved in the National Defense. Am I correct?
Yes, I'm the vice chair for the National Defense Committee and vice chair for the Special Standing Committee on Afghanistan.
So tell us about that particular committee and its role.
Well, in terms of the Special Committee on Afghanistan, our role is to inform Canadians about our mission over there. And I might point out, since this is coming to Remembrance Day, we've lost 36 Canadians since the last Remembrance Day.
Very sad.
Very, very sad. But our job has been and continues to be to provide the conditions for the development of a strong government in Afghanistan. Obviously, national reconciliation is very, very important. But what Canadians are doing in the field, and I've been now to Afghanistan on 2 occasions, they are making a difference. Whether it's through our projects that we're doing with the Dala Dam, which will provide significant water and not only irrigation, but electricity to farmers. And this is the first year that actually more wheat has been produced than poppies, whether it's medical clinics or schools. Canadians are making a difference. But our mission will end in 2011. That is the military mission in Afghanistan. And we can be very proud of the work that our Canadian NGOs have been making over there, government officials, and obviously the Canadian military. But our job is to inform Canadians, is to look at various benchmarks, whether it's the training of the Afghan National Army and the Afghan National Police, it's in terms of development projects. What are we doing? Are we, in fact, being able to accomplish what we've set out under the auspices, of course, of the United Nations and of NATO? So that's one of our major jobs. And, of course, one of my jobs as Vice Chair for the National Defense Committee is to ensure that the proper resources are being used. We just did a very important study on post-traumatic stress disorder. That's where Canadian soldiers are coming back from theatre, and some of them, unfortunately, wind up with difficult mental strains. We found that 40% of the soldiers overseas, of course, are not in the regular forces, and these are ones who go over in the reserves. And they come back, and do we have the right support services? We found out that they didn't in Eastern Canada versus the West. So we put together about 33 recommendations to government in terms of saying these are the kind of issues that need to be addressed, more psychiatrists, more in terms of areas for the families particularly as well. So those are things that are important. So it's not always about just guns and tanks and things, it's about the human component.
You're actively involved in the Asia-Pacific region as well, and you're responsible for that region, representing from the caucus, am I correct?
That's correct. The Leader of the Official Opposition, Michael Ignatieff, recently appointed me as Special Advisor to the Leader of Official Opposition for Asia Pacific, with special responsibilities for India and China. And my background academically, I did my master's in Chinese politics. So
yeah, I know you did your bachelor's and then you did your master's in political science.
I have a great love affair with Asia. And I've had the pleasure of taking on various responsibilities. This one is important because it will be for policy development and for strategy. I already am an honorary advisor to the Canada-Pakistan Business Council, as an example. And that to me is important because one of the things we want to do is we have so many diaspora over here that can act as a natural bridge to Asia. And so whether you're from Pakistan, India, from China, wherever, we need to use the diaspora much more effectively in terms of people who know the culture, who know the language, who know the various nuances. And that is important. For example, in China, you just can't go over there and do business. You need to make friends first, business second. And that, I think, is important. So one of my jobs will be to do that kind of outreach, both with the business community here, overseas, politically looking at ways that we can be much more of a player in the Asia Pacific, because we haven't been what we need to be. And so for those kind of roles are important to me. And I'm very pleased that Michael Ignatieff asked me to take on this role. I was just recently at the University of British Columbia at a tripartite meeting with Canada, Japan, and the United States for the Asia Pacific Foundation. And again, looking at ways that that was on energy and environment. And I think those are things that are important as we move forward, particularly in the green energy field, particularly in terms of green jobs.